Welcome to the course C# and .NET Programming. In this video, we are going to see the demo to implement the interface inheritance. The environment I am using is the Visual Studio 2019. As you know already, there are two types of inheritance. First one is the implementation inheritance and the next one is the interface inheritance. Since C# doesn't support the multiple inheritance, it will be achieved through the interface concept. So first I am going to create one base class, and this base class I am having a method public void display base, and then I am going to create a derived class which is inheriting the base class. I am just using a method which is an display derived. So now if you try to use the multiple inheritance, for example, I am going to create another one base class which also having a method, and now I am trying to inherit the base class with the base and the base one, both the things together inside the derived class. So I am getting an error since multiple base classes are not to be inherited in C#, since C# doesn't support the multiple inheritance. So this I am trying to get through the interface inheritance. So to create the interface, we need to use the keyword called as interface. So I am going to use with an interface name called as simple, and there I am going to write a method to perform, that is simple calculator. So I need to use with the summation in the simple interface. So int a comma int b. Now the interface having abstract methods. Abstract method means it doesn't having the implementation. Only the method declaration or the signature of the method alone available, and there is no definition of the method. And this method need to be implemented in the class. So now I am going to implement. So I am using the same colon operator for the inheritance of the interface, and now already I have inherited one class, and along with that I am trying to inherit the interface. Sometimes if you put the base class or the class name is after the interface, then you will get an error, that is always the class name should be come before the interface. So class name should be first, and then only you should have the interface name. So once I am inheriting the interface, it is mandatory that in the inherited class you need to implement the methods of the interface. So it is telling, since you need to implement the interface from the simple interface. So I am trying to implement. So just click here, implement the interface. So automatically the definition of the interface will come. So I just write the logic a plus b console dot write line some variables. Yes. So now if I want to call the method of the interface, I go to the main method, create the object for the derived class, new derived, and using the derived class object, the implemented method sum, I am trying to call the values and try to access it. So when you run it, we will get the sum of two numbers by invoking the interface implementation. And similarly, I am going to create another interface which is an advanced. So in this interface, I am going to add a multiplication int a comma int b. So now this interface also I need to implement in the derived class. So if I have more than one interface, I can separate with comma, and then I can add the interface name. So now we have the multiple inheritance concept that is implemented through the interface. So now we implement the interface. The method need to be write the definition. So I just use the same logic. Instead of plus, I am going to use with the multiplication. So just go here, use with multiplication and then add the multiplication. So to access, both the methods are now available in the derived class. So use the derived class object called the multiplication method and then you just invoke the method. So 3 into 2 is 6. And you may have a question whether the interface can be inherited. Yes, so you can inherit the interface. So I am going to write an interface called as complex, and this interface I am going to add a modulo operator int a comma int b. So now this complex I am going to write inside the advanced, or the complex interface I am going to inherit inside the advanced. So this complex interface is inherited inside the advanced. So now advanced having its own method multiplication and also modulo also inherited inside. So it need to be implemented. So implement, we have the modulo. Just write the logic for modulo. So a mod b, then I write what is the modulo value, and then by using the same derived class object I call the modulo and then I pass with the values. So now we have seen how to create an interface, how to inherit the interface inside the class, and it is mandatory in the inherited class all the methods of the interface need to be defined, and then by creating the object of the derived class you can access the implementations of the interfaces. And whether we can create object for the interface. Suppose I have the interface simple, I am going to create an object for it. So for interface it is not allowed to create the object. Then you can create reference for the interface. So through the reference you can assign the object to the reference. So it is with your dynamic method dispatch, and then using the interface reference you can access the method which is available inside that particular interface. So to create the interface reference, assign the derived class object to the interface reference, and using that interface reference you can access the methods available inside the interface using the concept of the dynamic method dispatch. Hope you got an idea how to create an interface and how to implement the interface and how to inherit one interface to the another interface and how to access the interface reference. Thank you.